Ayo, Ashley Monet here. Welcome to another installment of Inktober 2023. This video will cover what I did on days 19 through 24, so let's jump right in and see what I can ink. First up, day 19. The prompt word was plump. My mind went to a plump little witch. I had thoughts of doing something more cartoony, but then decided an easy way to convey what I was envisioning was to basically do something like those show posters for Wicked, but make the witch plump. Once I had her drawn out, I needed to go in with that green background. After deliberating what medium to use, I settled on my super tip markers, and honestly I'm glad I did because this paper tore the tip up and literally used all the ink in the entire marker. But since the super tips are stupid cheap, I didn't really care, but I think if I had chosen an alcohol-based marker, oh my god, I would have been so mad. My white paint pen also struggled on this already chewed up paper, so let's skip forward because this took a while. There we go. Crisping up the edges on my production title. Forget Wicked, I call this one Thicked. Now just sign date and give it a label. Day 19, Plump. And here she is, my plump little witch. I love the idea, but maybe, possibly, perhaps execution could have been a little better on this one. Moving right along to day 20, prompt word, frost. Now my mind did go to like the snow and ice type frost first, but I really couldn't come up with a good idea for anything in that category, so I revisited the word frost, and something clicked. Frosting. Frosting. I decided to draw up a spooky little Halloween cupcake. Let's work on giving this drawing some depth. A few dark shadows, and some hatching. This little jack-o'-lantern is actually supposed to be like the cherry on top, but I screwed up the stem and made it way too thick. I'll have to fix that later. This skull could use a little more shading. And the whipped cream. Couldn't quite nail that texture, giving the cupcake liner the look of ridges. How about some yummy, yummy sprinkles? And a big drop shadow here. Fix this janky stem. And a few juicy highlights. Sign and labeled day 20 frost. And with that, let's call it done. I'm quite happy with this one and suddenly craving myself a little cupcake. Next up, day 21. Prompt chains. On this one, my mind went right to the ball and chain. I love the look of that, but it's just too simple on its own. Everyone knows the ball and chain is often used as a euphemism for like marriage. So I took this opportunity to draw the ultimate married couple of horror cinema. Chucky and Tiffany of the Child's Play franchise. I mean, these two are about as dysfunctional as it gets, but they are so darn entertaining. I just couldn't leave them out if I'm doing any sort of a nod to horror movies. Finish up with a little more shading. And I think that's good enough. I mean, you get it. Let's give it a label. Day 21, chains. Great, grand, wonderful. Moving on. It's now day 22 and our prompt word is Scratchy. Going with another horror cinema legend for this one, the one and only Freddy Krueger. Again, starting with our shadows here and there, I'll start my shading with his signature glove knives. And onto his striped sweater. Texture's a big deal here, and this is taking freaking forever, so let's just skip past the base of the sweater and move on to more of the shadows. Okay, now onto his face. That gnarly, burned face of Freddy's. Another test of my ability to create texture. And finishing up with a little shading on his hat. Oh, can't forget to add a few little scratches. After all, day 22 is Scratchy. Here's the finished product. I'm good with it. Could be happier, but I'm not Dagger Mike ashamed of it. Now on to the next. Day 23, prompt word, celestial. For this one, I wanted to do some celestial themed tarot cards. We'll do a moon card, a sun card, and a stars card. I want them to be black, so let's start with filling that in. I don't take my alcohol marker all the way to the liner, especially on this paper, because the texture of it just like bleeds and feathers out like crazy. So then I'll go back through with liner and close those gaps. Now for a little hatch shading throughout so that the images aren't so flat. And now I want to zhuzh up the cards with some metallic. Using my gold gel pen to give each card a border and some filigree and some sparkles. Hitting the sparkles with some white and adding each card's label, the moon, the sun, the stars. And now for the day's label, day 23, celestial. I like it. That one was quick and easy and cute. Which brings us to the last prompt of the video. This is day 24 and the prompt was shallow. Of course, my twisted mind went straight for a shallow grave. I thought of the scene from the original It, where Bill gets a vision of Pennywise digging the graves for him and his friends. In hindsight, this was probably not the best idea just because it's not a very detailed scene, so I think my drawing ends up pretty flat and basic, but whatever. The point is to draw something, and I'm drawing something. Kind of just adding my own details wherever I think makes sense. Yes, I'm deviating from the reference. Freestyling. Going rogue. Let's wrap this one up with our label. Day 24, shallow, and a couple of little highlights. And there we are. I prefer to end the video on a stronger note, but that's okay. Next week, I'll be posting the last week of Inktober, and I'm so dang excited. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.